welcome to Football Now, a new YouTube channel where we're going to be inspecting the odds for the upcoming round of Premier League games and giving our own predictions as well for what they're worth. I'm joined by Connor. Connor, how are you doing?
I'm not too bad, Brad. Not too bad. I'm just trying to make a few quid, but it's a bit up and down.
It's all down for me, trust me. So we won't go into that.
Don't worry. This weekend we're going to make some money. We're going to make some big money.
Fingers crossed. We've got Aston Villa at Crystal Palace this weekend, 3:00 kickoff at Villa Park. I'm just looking at the recent form of the two. It's been a mixed bag, I suppose. But Villa, I think they've won the games that you'd expected them to have won. Same with Palace, to be honest with you. I think they've had a solid start too. What have you made from the first four games from both sides?
Well, I have to say, first of all, I'm really impressed with Crystal Palace because I think for quite a long time now they've been known as the Wilfried Zaha team. So to lose Wilfried Zaha and to they've done okay this season. I think they've barely missed him, to be honest. So it's a huge credit to Crystal Palace. Huge credit to the players that they've got. Eze, Ayer, Edouard has been good, and Roy Hodgson as well. He's so experienced. So I'm impressed by them. With Aston Villa, I think how they and Unai Emery have bounced back after that first game. 5-1 defeat to Newcastle. Bit of an unfortunate 5-1 defeat. I think the scoreline was flattering to Newcastle, but since then, they've just been outstanding. If you want to watch a game with goals, Aston Villa is the team to watch because every single game that they've been involved in, there've been over 2.5 goals this season. So if you do want an exciting game, this should be an exciting game.
Yeah, absolutely. We were speaking off camera about Villa's start against Newcastle. I think Villa were very much in that game, weren't they, until the final half an hour, and they rebounded then 4-0 draw of a admittedly very poor Everton side. And then I know Burnley haven't had the start that they wanted, but Burnley's never been the easiest place to go, and they've gone and got a win there. Strange performance last time out against Liverpool at Anfield. I thought it was a bit naive from Unai Emery. Sorry, it's not something that you really associate him with.
Yeah, it was a bit. I think, I don't think Unai Emery will be too concerned. I mean, if you go to these places like Anfield, it is just one of these where, if you lose, you lose, fair enough. Your season's not going to be defined on games, against those big clubs like that. But you just see the odds there in the bottom of the screen, 5-6, Aston Villa at home to beat Crystal Palace. I really do think that's good value. I mean, I respect Crystal Palace, and they've had a good start to the season. They've lost Zaha. But Aston Villa, they've been good this season. I know they've taken a few heavy defeats, but the performances haven't really been too bad in those. Aston Villa, they can score goals. They can score a lot of goals. And I think if they get an early goal, this could be, 3-4-1, something like that. So at Villa Park, where they've won 4 of the last 5 against Crystal Palace, I think 5-6 is where the value. I mean, nearly evens against, Crystal Palace, where they've got an excellent record against. I would be surprised if there's a lot of people backing any of the other 2 outcomes.
Looking at the summer business now by Villa as well, I spent a lot of money. I think the star sign which has stood out so far is Moussa Diaby. He's got 2 goals in his first 4 games for them. Pau Torres, brought in from Villarreal as well, someone that Unai Emery will know well.
Yes.
Tielemans, brought in from Leicester on a free transfer, Premier League experience, always been a good player. Longley, who's been in the Premier League, I think, in the past for Tottenham as well, on loan from Barcelona. What have you thought of their business?
I think it's been good. I think Tielemans is a good sign, and he's not really got a chance yet this season, but he will. It's just going to take time. I think Longley is even better now, considering what's happened to Tyrone Mings. It's awful when you lose a player who's so important so early on in the season. But yeah, I think in Unai Emery they've got an elite manager, not just a good manager. He is an elite manager. He knows how to get the best out of his squad. He knows how to bring in the players that he wants to play in the system that he wants to play. I think Aston Villa, considering where they were a few years ago, should be really, really excited. They had a great. I mean, last season they really could have gotten the Champions League. Unai Emery came midway through. I mean, Steven Gerrard he'd been poor. He'd been really poor with Aston Villa. So Unai Emery to get Aston Villa into Europe, considering at the start that he had, just absolutely fantastic job. I know from Arsenal, I think Arsenal after Arsene Wenger was always going to be hard to judge any manager. But aside from that, Unai Emery's done so well every single place that he's been at. He's the Europa League king. So I'll be interested to see how Aston Villa do in that competition this season. But yeah, I think the new signings have done well. Really excited to see what Tielemans does. He will get a chance because I think he's a really quality player. To get him on a free transfer as well, just another astute bit of business by Aston Villa.
Yeah, you've mentioned Emery there. He's a born winner, and he's won the Europa League too many times to count.
I think it's about 4,200 last time I counted. He's won the Europa League.
Exactly. You give it another 5 years, and he'll probably double that as well. Looking at the list of injuries for Villa there, you've mentioned Mings. I think Buendia is out with a similar injury too. Jacob Ramsey, Alex Moreno, Diego Carlos, all injured. But it's testament to that Villa squad, isn't it, that they've managed to keep going, and that they have made a solid start with some big names there who are missing through injury.
Yeah, I think at the moment it's okay. I think you can manage it, but when the European football starts to happen, how are you going to balance that with the Premier League as well, with the injuries? That is my only concern with Villa. I think at the moment, I think it's good, and I think they need to put points on the board now, very quickly, when they don't have that European football. But when that starts to happen, especially the Europa League, it just Thursday, it makes a difference. Playing on Thursday does make a difference. I'm an Arsenal fan, I know what it's like playing on Thursdays. Unfortunately, I've had to get used to it. So, yeah, I do think they need to put points on the board. I would be surprised if they don't take 3 points this weekend. I mean, like I said, I do rate Crystal Palace. They've had a good season, but I just can't get over the value, nearly evens, against a team who they've had a fantastic record against at Villa Park. I'm going to say this now. That is the pick of the weekend for me. Nearly evens Aston Villa. That is the pick of the weekend. If they don't win that game, I'll retire.
It's that first show, Connor. We can't have you retiring after the first week.
Don't worry. It's happening. Aston Villa 3-1, 4-1. It's happening.
You've mentioned Crystal Palace there as well. I think they've got one of the most exciting teams in the league, almost, for the young players. Elise, Eze, Decore as well. I'm a Liverpool fan. We were heavily linked with him. They've got an impressive young team there, headed up by, like you said, the experienced head of Roy Hodgson. First 4 games that saw them beat Sheffield United 1-0 away, lose to Arsenal 1-0, a 1-0 draw of Brentford, and then a 3-2 win against Wolves, a win against Plymouth there as well in the Cup. Roy Hodgson, they say it's a young man's game, but he seems to be doing right at the minute.
Well, that's it. I mean, you can't beat experience, especially in the dugout. I was impressed by that 3-2 win, actually, because I don't think Crystal Palace is a team that you associate with goals. And again, we keep mentioning it, but it was so huge for Palace. They've lost Wilfried Zaha. So the fact that they can score 3 goals in a single game to get the 3 points when they needed all 3 goals as well is really, really impressive. I mean, you mentioned Eze, who's absolutely fantastic for Crystal Palace. They really need to keep hold of him. But Jordan Ayew, he's had a really good start to the season. And I think, just that little bit of experience with the youngsters, I think that's a perfect combination to have. And I don't think Crystal Palace will be looking towards the bottom of the table this season. I think they'll be sort of trying to target that sort of 10, 11 place. I think if they keep hold of their players and they stay fit, then I think they could have a really good season. Just not this game.
Just not this game. They've brought in a couple of big names. Dean Henderson from Man United, the goalkeeper. And, of course, Rob Holding. You're an Arsenal fan. You'll know him well. What have you made of their business? And Matheus Franca, too, from Brazil also.
Well, I can't believe that they got Rob Holding for £1 million. I mean, he's not the sort of centre-back who's going to be, winning any Premier Leagues. But, he's 27 years old. He's got, 5, 6, 7 years of experience in the Premier League. For £1 million, to get that level of experience, first team experience as well, for £1 million is absolutely sensational. And not just the experience, he is a good defender as well. I think last season he struggled because we lost William Saliba and then he had to come in. And if you compare him to, yes, there is a golfing class, but he is a guy who, if he plays consistently, he can make that position his own, and I think he's going to be a real asset. to Crystal Palace.
I'm just looking at the injuries which could impact the game this weekend. Elise has got a thigh injury. It looks like he's out to the end of the month. Same with Mateus Franca with a lower back injury. And Mark Gahey, I think he came off at half-time for England the other day. I don't think it's too serious. I'm not sure whether he's going to be available this weekend. But you've gone with your prediction there. You're predicting a comfortable win for Aston Villa.
Yeah, I think, like you said, with the injury, I like Crystal Palace's starting 11. I don't think their squad depth is huge. So I think when they do get injuries, they can suffer. And, not only that, but I know Aston Villa have got injuries as well. But I think, I really do rate them. I rate Unai Emery at Villa Park. Absolutely, Aston Villa win.
Yeah, I think I'll go the same. I'll say a 3-1 win for Villa. I think Palace will get a goal on the board, but like you say, it's at Villa Park at the minute. I think they've had one home game this year, and they against Everton, and they just trampled all over them. A very poor Everton side, but they did run all over them. Okay, that's our roundup for Aston Villa Crystal Palace. Let us know your thoughts and predictions below in the comments, and check us out for the rest of our predictions. It looks like it's Fulham versus Luton Town up next.
See you next time.